How's it going, everybody? I'm Kyle from Fantasy Forge Studios.
And I'm Dane from Fantasy Forge Studios.
And we are back with the Razing of Helix electric element cards for the Everlast TCG. We are moving through these sets, and we've already covered the flame cards, the frost cards, the earth cards, and now the electric cards. And today we're going to be covering specifically the creatures from Rudraw, which is a mountain community here of basically wicked men. That'll be kind of the first that you'll be able to see. We've been covering like orcs, goblins, like tree fiends, but these are more kind of like barbaric, evil men that live high in the mountains. And so that's going to be right here in this kind of a region right here where they do live. The electric type element in the Everlast trading card game tends to be more control-oriented, control-focused. And so it does stuff with manipulating your own hand and your own deck, manipulating your opponent's deck in hand, inflicting status ailments, and basically just it's control. And they aren't going to be your hardest hitters. They're not going to be your thickest creatures, but they're going to do everything that they can to be able to troll your opponent, either decking out or just making mistakes. They're really good at capitalizing on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so as far as the actual redraw cards go, in the electric element in general, electric cards are weak to frost type element cards. So they're ×2 weak to frost, and they are resistant to earth types. So they're really good counters to earth types.
Yep. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into our first creature in the electric element, who's actually our first villain of the electric elements, which is Anila the Huntress. This is a pretty nice art card, but she is a primary type creature. Anila the Huntress, evil alignment with 80 base hit points. The captain, humanoid, human, and Rudraw keywords. As I mentioned, she is a support type, meaning she can generate mana when you play her onto your battlefield. But she has the drop ability, Mistress of the Hunt. So when you play this creature from your hand onto your battlefield, choose one of your active creatures and return the selected creature and all attached cards to it to your hand. And so this is a good way to be able to kind of scoop up anything that's either weak, damaged, or if you just need to clear up space for anything else that you plan on putting out onto your battlefield. Again, it's great for being able to get creatures that have good drop abilities so you can reactivate them during your next combat round. There's lots of uses for this Mistress of the Hunt.
Mm-hmm. And that brings us to the activate. So if you decide to forego using her as her supports to generate mana, you can decide during the movement phase to use 2 electric mana to use Hound of the Hunt with her activate. So choose one of your opponent's active creatures and deal it 20 damage. If you have a creature named Wolfhound of Rudrar, or of Rudraw, active on your battlefield, deal 20 damage to a different one of your opponent's active creatures. So again, it's a activate ability in the movement phase that deals damage, and not just 20 damage, but could deal more than that as well. So
yeah,
it's
support
pretty
actions
solid.
that deal damage are sweet, and it does have synergy again with the Wolfhound of Rudraw, and so you can pretty much create like a deck with Anila the Huntress as kind of like your centerpiece with a bunch of Wolfhounds, and you're just doing damage to all kinds of creatures on the attack phase. It's not
Mm-hmm.
a ton of damage, but it's enough to knock out things that are low HP, and it's a great way to whittle down your opponent's life point total.
Yeah, and those of you who we got through this first card, like, I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea what they're talking about as far as these cards go. Do not worry. On our YouTube channel, we do have videos on how to read cards, how to read the actual what is it called? How to actually read
Anatomy.
how to read the card, anatomy of the card. There we go. Also, we have videos on how to play the Everlast TCG game. So if right now at this point you're confused on what's going on, this doesn't really mean much to you, feel free to go to the YouTube channel and check out those videos, and then come back and come learn how to use these cards with us.
Absolutely. But she does promote as a kind of the first captain. Again, you can only have 3 captains on your battlefield at a time, but she promotes into the villain version of this card, the EX, Anila the Huntress EX. You want to go ahead and explain what that she does?
I mean, first and foremost, let's appreciate the artwork.
That
How
white looks
amazing that
so
is.
good.
Yeah, it's really nice. And she's got a doggo, and she's just really good. Actually, if any of you have attended the events in Colorado, we've been having a bunch of events throughout all of Colorado, a bunch of different card shops. The art for Anila the Huntress has been one of the main art, like banner arts at all of them, and we've gotten really good feedback when it comes to all of the different banner arts, but people really tend to like Anila. And again, the white background looks really, really good. But yeah, she is, as Kyle had mentioned, our first villain of the set. And so she is an EX card. So EX cards, they're wonderful. They're more powerful than normal cards, normal promoted cards. However, if she does get knocked out, then you have to take a life point. So be careful with her. Make sure to protect her, especially since she's a support card, and then you're good. But yeah, she has 110 HP. She is a support type creature. She has the keywords villain, captain, humanoid, human, and Rudraw. And she, as long as she is active on your battlefield, she has the trait Track Quarry. So once per combat round, at any point during your turn in the movement phase, draw 2 cards, then discard 1 card from your hand. So again, the nice thing is she helps manipulate your own hand, which is really nice.
And
So
it's also
really
not hidden behind a mana cost, and so every turn you have the ability to basically draw cards, as long as you're willing to discard cards, which is nice. But she does have the activate ability, so as a support action, for 2 electric mana, you have Vrasuk, Dire Hound of the Hunt. So choose one of your opponent's active creatures and deal it 40 damage. If you have a creature card named Wolfhound of Rudraw active on your battlefield, deal 40 damage to a different one of your opponent's active creatures. So it's basically Hound of the Hunt, but improved version of that, which is great.
yeah. So again, you could build a whole deck around Danila as a support and just a bunch of hounds and start doing a
Exactly.
bunch of damage, which is kind of cool.
And
But
especially
then she
again, that's damage on your movement phase, which is again, that's better. You can't even get that with creatures with the aggressive trait, and so it's very, very, very fast damage.
So it's very good. It's definitely very good. She also has the EX activated, and again, you can only use this once per game for this character, and that is 3, and then that is for 3 electric mana, and is Merciless Huntress. So remove all cards in your opponent's discard pile from the game. So again, very trolly, especially late game. If you use this late game, there's no way that you basically can discard the almost the entirety of a player's deck. So it's super good late game.
Well, yeah, and it's remove it from the game too, and so like there's no way that they're going to be able to shuffle anything if they're like maybe have something in their hand that's like, oh yeah, this is going to allow me to extend my deck, get more stuff back into my deck, or if you're playing decks that manipulate the discard pile, this is the absolute counter to that. This is the biggest threat to those types of decks, which is pretty good.
Yep, put an Eska in your deck to tech it.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. But yeah, that is Anila the Huntress. She is great. Which brings us, if you guys were tuning into our last video for the Heroes of the West electric creatures, we kind of had a little bit of a sneak peek on this creature line. We have the Coastal Lizard. Oh man, these guys are good. There's a side quest involving these guys in the role-playing game, but yeah, they are the Coastal Lizard. They have 40 hit points with the Beast and Lizard keywords, and they are attacker type creatures. They have the drop ability Beast Infestation, which is search your discard pile for a creature with the Beast keyword and shuffle it back into your deck. And so they are really good. There's a lot of creatures that do fall under this. There's a lot of like earth creatures, whether they're bears, that kind of stuff, that have it, but also dragons. So if you want to run dragon decks, these guys are actually a great way to be able to get them out of your discard pile and back into your deck. So yeah, I think this is going to be a pretty good one for a bunch of future expansions as well.
And yeah, as a attacker type creature, it has an activate attack action that you can use during the attack phase. For 1 electric mana, you can use Spike for 20 damage. Again, like the Heroes of the West electric cards, there's some cards in this that are very cheap to activate and they don't do a lot of damage, but they're very, very good against life points. Or to put status conditions on people. For example, the additional effect for this attack is flip a coin. If the result is a heads, the target enemy creature gains the stunned status ailment. So Kyle, what does stunned do again?
Stunned means you cannot move in any way. It doesn't mean that you can't attack or anything like that. You can still perform actions. You can still rotate to gain mana if you're a supporter type. You can still move into the act or the guard position if you're a defender. But you're just unable to move at all during the combat round, which is good. I mean, it makes it so you're basically can't guard or plug up holes or do anything like that. And so stun's pretty good. It's definitely not a broken status ailment, but it's troll for sure. Definitely.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's pretty nice.
It is a primary creature. This next creature is not a promotion of it, but it is a also tied artwork, kind of back to the last set, which is the Lizard King. I don't know if we can fit it on here, but we got there's like a big stone here. Lizard King, you can make him smaller, and then he sits up on top of this rock. But it's a connected art, which is kind of cool. But the Lizard King, which he is a captain type creature. So he has 80 hit points with the captain, beast, and lizard keywords. And he is an attacker type. He has the drop ability Rally Kindred, which is search your deck for up to 3 cards named Coastal Lizard and add them to your hand. Shuffle your deck. And so like he's a great way. You play him first, and you can set up your entire battlefield with coastal lizards, which is nice. And you can just stun things, do some damage, and kind of just ultimately troll. He is an attacker type, and so he does have an attack action.
Yeah, so for 2 electric damage, he's got static spike for 60, so it's an improved version of normal spike. And additionally, the target gains the stun status ailments for D4 combat rounds. So you don't have to flip a coin for this. He just automatically gains it, and then for D4 combat rounds. So make sure to roll that D4 to see how many rounds it lasts. So pretty good. Like
for
especially
60
for
damage too.
Yeah, 2 electric mana for 60 damage is pretty good. So it's and again, it's pretty trolly as well. And again, you can run a lizard deck. And who doesn't want to run a lizard deck?
Yeah, lizard with some dragons if you want to do that. Fight the kids of Shiloh, and it's a good time.
Yeah.
All right, and now we're moving back to Rudraw. So we kind of took a little detour from Rudraw, but we are back. Starting with the Falcon of Rudraw. It is a Dane. You want to explain this creature?
Yeah, so it's a primary type creature. Again, you see the 3 cards in the upper corner. It means you can have 3 of these guys on the field at any given time. It does have a low HP. It's only 30 HP. It has the Beast, Avian, and Rudraw keywords, and they are attacker types. But as long as it has the trait Fly, so as long as this creature is active on your battlefield, this creature may move 2 additional spaces during your turn in the movement phase. Additionally, it can move through spaces occupied by other creatures. So not only does it move 40 or four spaces, but if it's blocked in or if it needs to get to the other side of a creature, normally you have to kind of avoid them, and you have to go into a spot adjacent to a creature, but this can go right over that because again it's got the fly keyword. So very maneuverable, which is kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
So
and they do have the attack action for 1 electric mana, which is Swooping Strike for 40. And has the additional effect, discard 1 gear item attached to the target. So, again, control, if you are facing an opponent that utilizes a lot of gear items, this guy easily gets rid of them. And again, he can like kind of snipe someone from across the board if you are able to align them and move up to 4 spaces for that. And he can avoid kind of danger a lot with that high movement by hiding behind other creatures as well. So yeah, these guys are really good. Especially, I think he really excels if you go second in the combat round. So if you lose priority initiative, these guys are awesome. They basically work as far as like a reactive kind of force to your opponent's creatures, which is cool.
Mm-hmm. Also, the art's awesome on the card. I like the lightning.
Art does look good, doesn't it? And we have next our first defender line of Rudraw, which is the Rudraw Barbarian. They are thick at 60 hit points for a primary kind of mainline creature. That's really good. They have the humanoid, human, and Rudraw keywords, and they are defender type, and they have the haste drop ability. This is a really good ability that, as mentioned, when you place it from your hand onto your battlefield, place this creature onto your battlefield in the unactivated position. So the turn that they are placed, they are good to go. Yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah, and so you can choose to either defend with them the first turn, or if you want, you have the mana for it. Use for it on its the attack phase during the you can use its attack activate ability for 2 electric mana for hand axe for 50. So again, pretty decent. Two mana for 50 damage. It's pretty decent. So
Especially on the turn that it's played, and there's a lot of things that you can do with it being a defender type. And so these guys are they're probably the speediest defender type creatures that we have in the game right now. So yeah, pretty good. Usually earth element, the speed is the name of the game, but in this case it's very much electric for this element. But they promote into the Rudra Berserker. Dane, why don't you go ahead and explain them?
And so, as you can see, you can have up to 3 of them onto the battlefield at any given time as well. They do have 30 more HP as well, so they got a base HP at 90. They're a humanoid, human, and Rudra keyword, and they have another drop ability, Battle Fury. So until the end of the combat round, this creature cannot be damaged in any way. So first turn, they're basically invincible. So that's pretty good. That's pretty darn good. So they're very defensive.
Especially if you promote onto one of your barbarians that maybe has lost a decent chunk of its HP, you're just like, maybe it's not worth like promoting the creature. This is great because it's just like no matter what, whether it's arts that target you for damage or attack actions, traits, anything like that from your opponent that will cause damage to this guy. This guy's immune to all of it, and so at least on that first turn that it is played, and so he is a scary, scary threat, especially with a high cost 3 electric mana attack action, battle axe for 70. He can hit hard against your creature. He's definitely meant for targeting creatures with the high cost, but yeah, he's a thick boy, and he looks really nice. I like the kind of yellow element. The one thing you will notice about the cards in this is there's a very consistent theme, and so like a deck of like these actually looks really good all together in hand. So
yeah, yellow pops too, a lot.
Which goes into our first, or I guess our line of support creatures in this set, which are the Rudra Druid and Stormcaller. Let's go ahead and start with the Druid. But the Druid is a primary type evil creature with, you can have 3 of them on your battlefield at a time, with 50 hit points, humanoid, human, Rudra keywords, and it is a support creature, so you can use this to generate mana. But it has the drop ability, Cultist's Chant. So add a D4 Void Flow to your mana pool. This is our first instance of Void Flow that we've seen thus far. There are evil aligned decks can have void in creatures. So demonic creatures summoned from the void. They have void cost, which you need active void flow to have to be able to play them and for them to perform actions and whatnot. And this is one of the ways to be able to do that. And so you can get D4 void flow onto your mana pool with a drop ability, which is pretty good. You see that it pairs well with a card that is later in this set. But yeah, this card, because it is not a void-in card, it does not generate void flow as far as mana. If you want to rotate this, it generates electric mana. But its drop ability gives you void flow to be able to play void creatures, if that makes sense.
The nice thing, too, is it pairs pretty well with Vanilla, because if you play it and you want to get more void flow later on, you can use her, her traits to put the... scoop up and then play the Rudra Druid again for more void flow. So you can synergize that way. But if you do decide to forego actually generating electric mana, for 1 electric mana, you can use Ancestral Call during your movement phase. So draw 1 card from the bottom of your deck. So it's pretty good. Again, a lot of cards draw from the top of your deck. This is one of those unique cards that allow you to draw from the bottom of your deck.
Exactly. And it does promote into the Rudra Stormcaller. Dane, why don't you go ahead and go over this creature?
Yep. So 10 more HP, not too much more HP. It also has the humanoid, human, and Rudra keyword as a support, and it has the drop ability Void and Storm, which is a better version of Cultist Chant. So add 2 D4 Void Flow to your mana pool. So instead of just the 1, you can add 2. So at a minimum, you get 2 Void Flow for it, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, that'd be bad if you rolled Snake Eyes. That would kind of stink. But yeah, as far as good mana generation, I think this might be the highest burst like void flow mana generation that there is right now. And so this is really great if you want to run basically like a demon deck as well. But they also do serve their purpose as just normal mana engine for regular electric types if you don't have any voiding creatures. But why not? You're already automatically generating void flow anyways, right? So, but they do have a support action, which is for 1 electric mana and 1 void flow. The Storm Calling. Search your deck for a creature named Storm Demon and place it onto your battlefield in the unactivated position without paying the void cost. You will see what that does later, but yeah, it's a great way to be able to summon specific demon onto your battlefield, especially if you have just one on your deck and it's maybe hidden. This is a great way to pretty much guarantee that it comes into your hand and goes out onto your battlefield. So you can actually start utilizing this void flow that you have generated, hopefully.
Also, that's cheap to get it out because most of the demons, as we'll see, you need to use void flow in order to put them out, and just 1 void flow to get it out is pretty strong.
That is a great caveat, actually. So when you are using an ability to be able to place it onto your battlefield without paying the void cost, the void cost can get pretty high with a maximum of 4 void flow in order to play a creature. The Storm Demon costs more than just the 1 void flow to do it, so this is probably the ideal way to do that as well, for sure.
Especially because electric mana at this point is going to be much easier to obtain than void flow. So
right, exactly. But that also takes us to the Rudra Falconeer. This guy is cool. So he is another support creature. There's a lot of support creatures in this deck. And he has 60 hit points with the humanoid, human Rudra keywords. And he has the drop ability, Falcon Call. Search your deck for a creature with the name Falcon of Rudra and place it onto your battlefield in the unactivated position. So it's basically a haste for just your regular Falcons here. And then shuffle your deck, which is awesome. So you basically, these guys pair together, and this is actually a card that has similar art, where the lightning strike in the back is where this guy's supposed to be flying. So that's cool. He's got another connected art card. These electric sets have a lot of that. But yeah, do you want to talk about their support action?
Yeah, so if you decide to forego, again, generating mana, you can, in the movement phase, use its support activate for 2 electric mana, Disarming Command. So remove 1 mana from your opponent's mana pool. If you have at least 1 creature with the name Falcon of Rudra, again, synergizing, active on your battlefield, remove D4 mana from your opponent's mana pool instead. So again, removing mana from your opponent is a huge way to cripple your opponent. Especially up to D4, that's crazy. Like, to be able to just take 4 mana from their mana pool, it cripples really bad. So again, the element is electric, which that's what they're known for. So that's pretty solid.
Exactly. He's not super thick with 60 HP, so again, he's another one that you have to kind of protect, but he's pretty good. But that goes into our big, thick, heavy boy in this, the Rudra Huskarl. He's got 30, or he has 100 hit points, base hit points, but he has the kind of the 3-card look, so you can actually have 3 of these. I would consider him more of like similar as what we saw in the Gorgonath's hunt, like the kind of frost creatures. You have certain elements that have kind of like veteran type creatures, kind of that are like primary promoted creatures, if that makes sense. But this guy is going to be that for you. But he's got 100 hit points. He's got the humanoid, human Rudra keyword, and he's a defender type creature. And he's got the trait Thane of the Chieftain. So once per combat round, if this creature is within 1 space of an active creature named Thorondor, Chieftain of Rudra, we'll see him later. When that card receives damage, this creature may receive the damage instead, reducing the total damage by 30. And so he protects the king, or protects their chieftain, which is pretty much exactly what that does.
So he's like the victor of the Rudra.
Yeah, kind of, exactly, like Irea's shield.
And again, if you decide to forego being in the defend position during the attack phase, you can use his attack activate for 3 electric mana, kind of big. He can do Great Axe for 60 damage. It also has the additional effect, randomly discard 1 card from your opponent's hand. So again, not only is it the 60 damage, but you can also manipulate your opponent's hand. So solid.
Yep,
very
exactly.
solid.
keep that hand low. Again, as Dane had mentioned in the last video, that's where you find a lot of issues, is when you just don't have cards in your hand. Kind of like any card game, but we have our next attacker line, which is going to be the Rudra Wildman. Yeah, Dane, why don't you go ahead and talk about this one?
Yep, so you could have 3 of them on your battlefield. It's a attacker-type creature with 50 HP, so not a huge amount of HP, but it's a humanoid, human, and Rudra, so those are its keywords. And it does have a drop ability, Barbaric Thrust. So when you play this creature from your hand onto your battlefield, discard the top card of your opponent's deck. So again, deck manipulation. Very strong.
Absolutely, and he does have the attack action, which, again, he's an attacker, so that's what he will be doing most of the time. Be using his Torched Spear for 2 electric mana for 30 damage. So it pokes, not super hard, but it pokes, but it has the additional effect, and it's an automatic effect when it does hit land. The target gains the burn status ailment for D4 combat rounds. The burn status ailment is, each time a creature is affected by the burn status ailment, it is rotated into the activated position, and it is rotated into the activated position. Flip a coin. On the result of a tails, the creature receives 20 unresisted damage, meaning if you have it's great to go on pretty much anything, whether it is your creatures are rotating in order to guard, whether your creatures are rotating to generate mana, whether they're rotating because they're using attack actions. They're flipping a coin and potentially taking damage. So yeah, it's kind of like it's like the damage version of Charm, as opposed to, instead of keeping you from using the ability, it allows you to still use the ability, but taking damage in the process.
Yeah, and it's so funny in the games that we've played so far where burn has been active. Oh my gosh, it can be absolutely devastating, or you can get incredibly lucky and it does nothing. So it can really ruin your day, or it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. But it does promote this guy into the Rudra Warrior with a little bit more. He's got the evil alignment, obviously. He has the 3, so you can have 3 of them. He's got 20 more HP than his primary version, but at 70. He's got the humanoid, human, Rudra keywords, and he has an attacker type. And he has the drop ability, Raid and Pillage. So reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, choose 1 primary type creature with the Rudra keyword, and place it onto your battlefield in the unactivated position. Shuffle the remaining cards back into your deck. So yeah, it's pretty good. So choose 1 of your primary type creatures with the Rudra keyword and place it onto your battlefield in the unactivated position. That's really good, and that's also in addition to the primary type creatures that you can play onto your battlefield. 1 per turn, essentially, as far as primary creatures go. And so this is really good for setting up your battlefield fast. And so, honestly, these guys are kind of your preference for like the first things that you want to play onto your battlefield when you play this game.
Mm-hmm. And it's got an attack activate for 2 electric mana branded axe. It's just a better version of Torch Spear. So instead of 30 damage, it deals 50 damage, and it has the same thing. So basically, the target gains the burn task elements for D4 combat rounds. Also, I want to make a caveat. I know we keep saying this card is really good and it's awesome. That's the thing that's amazing about the Everlast TCGs. Every card is playable. Every card could be situational and used in any situation. So whatever decks you want to build, you can build it and it will be solid. So that's one thing that's amazing compared to like some of the other trading card games out there where maybe the vast majority of the sets that come out are just bulk and not very useful.
Yeah, there's not a lot of fluff in this game, especially in these first couple of sets. As you like, our goal in the designing this game is to make everything playable, and everything like fun to play, as opposed to like very one-dimensional cards. Like everything has like a little bit of a twist, a situational use. That some things are definitely have like a broader use situationally, but everything is useful, absolutely. But that takes us into our next boy, who is, as we had kind of alluded to earlier, our Storm Demon. Yeah, this is our 1 demonic creature of the set, and you will see Storm Demon is its name. You can only have 1 of them. And it does have the captain keyword, so this counts towards your 3 captain limit. It does have 100 hit points. For an attacker primary type, that's real good. And it has a void cost of 2, so if you don't use the ability of the Stormcaller in order to summon it for 1 basically Void Flow. You will have to pay in order to play him onto your battlefield 2 Void Flow from your mana pool. But he does a lot of stuff. So he has the trait Lightning Leap. So once during your turn in the movement phase, this creature can move to any unoccupied space on your battlefield. So he basically just goes around wherever he wants to be. He can just show up there. He has the best movement in the entire game.
Mm-hmm. Very solid. He also has an attack action as he is an attacker. So for 2 lightning and 1 void flow, he can use Thunder Clash for 60 damage. So the primary target gets dealt 60 damage, and then all secondary targets get dealt 40. So as we take a look at the graph, primary target gets dealt, and then if there are 3 cards behind him, then they get dealt 40 damage. So pretty good. But it has an additional effect: flip a coin. On the result of a heads, all targets gain the stun status ailment for D4 combat rounds. So it
it's
can
not flip a
also
coin
stun
for
everyone.
each. It's just one coin flip, and it succeeds or fails.
So very solid, very good. That's actually a really good attack because again, it only is, if you really think about it, 2 electric mana, and then if you already have the void flow from the storm from the druids, then you have void flow to spare. So
Exactly.
it's pretty nice. Yeah.
Yep. And these guys, you might look at him as like, especially for a primary, like pretty powerful. That's part of what the void cost is for. They're supposed to be strong. So, but he is a captain, as mentioned. But that brings us to our last villain of the set. Not last cards of the set, but last villain of the set, which is going to be Throndor, Chieftain of Rudra. He's cool. I actually really like Throndor as far as cards go. Like, something about his background and then his art just mix real well. But yeah, Dane, why don't you go ahead and talk about this guy?
Yep, so he's an attacker type creature, primary attacker type creature with 90 HP. So again, high HP for an attacker type, but he is a captain. Keep in mind, you can only have 3 on your battlefield. He's humanoid, human, and Rudra. So those are his keywords. He does have the trait Sterner Than Steel. And so as long as he is active on the battlefield, this creature and all of your active creatures within 1 space of this card cannot be moved by your opponent in any way. So basically makes him stuck. You can't use Gust on him. The art Gust on them. You can't use a bunch of different abilities to manipulate to be manipulated on your battlefield. As long as they are next to Throndor, they are chilling.
Yep. And the nice thing about him too is he kind of is like, your deck should center around him, like whether it's the Huskarls or anything like that. Like, you will have lots of bodies around him, so you have to be careful for if you're playing decks that have like a bunch of cards that have like large like AoE effects for specific areas. But he kind of gives you kind of like a death ball where if you just build stuff around him, your deck gets more and more powerful. So, but he does have the attack action Glinting Blade or Glinting Claymore for a 3 electric mana for 70 damage. So just 70 damage to the primary target. And then with the additional effect, this attack ignores damage, reducing effects of your target's attached gear item cards. And so if you have your opponent that has certain cards to reduce damage, nah, man, he ignores that. And so he's pretty good. His blade cuts through armor, essentially.
Yep, very strong.
And he promotes into the EX creature, Throndor, Chieftain of Rudra. As mentioned, he is an EX, and so if he does die, if he is slain during the game, you lose 1 point to your life point total. But he has 130 hit points with the villain, captain, humanoid, human, and Rudra keywords, meaning with the villain keyword, you can only have 1 villain active on your battlefield at a time. And he has the same trait, Sterner Than Steel. It doesn't change. This creature and all of your active creatures within 1 space of this card cannot be moved by your opponent in any way.
Yeah. He also has Glinting Claymore, again, as his activate. So in the attack during the attack phase, you can use it, and it's just stronger. So instead of doing 70 damage, it does 100 damage, and this attack also ignores the damage-reducing effects of your target's attached gear item card. So again, it's just 30 more damage. Very solid.
Yep, and he has the EX activate support action Warcry for 4 mana. It is a big cost for 4 electric mana, but once you have done this, increase the hit point maximum of all of your active creatures with the Rudra keyword by 40 until it is removed from the battlefield. Meaning, if you have a full setup battlefield with creatures with the root draw keyword, they all go increase their maximum hit point total by 40, meaning they are thick now. No longer do you have a Throndor with 130 HP. Instead, he goes up to 170 HP. He gets big. Or if you have like root draw warriors, another 40, that's 110 HP for your promoted creatures. Your Huskarls go up to 140 HP. It's crazy. Like, you become immediately thick with Throndor out on your battlefield.
Yeah, so this is one of those EX activates. It's like, you use it. You should use it if you have the mana for it, because there's no like, there every situation that's good.
Yeah, I would say the one stipulation to maybe that is make sure you have as many root draw creatures out as possible. If he's your only creature, if you maybe have like one or two creatures on your battlefield that have a root draw, it's useful. 4 mana, everything there gets plus 40 HP to its maximum, but it really utilizes it if you have like a big battlefield of root draw. So yeah, he's great. He's really cool. I also really like his art here too. And that brings us to our last creature of the Razing of Helix, which is sad day, but a really nice looking card, the Wolfhound of Rudraw. Dane, why don't you go ahead and explain what this does?
Yeah, so again, you can have up to 3 of them on the battlefield at any given time. It's got a low HP for 40 for an attacker, but it has the keywords, and it's got the Beast, Wolf, and Rudraw keyword. So again, these synergize really, really well with Vanilla, as the first card we had talked about. But it does have the trait Loyal Companion, so as long as this creature is active on your battlefield, as long as you have the creature with the name Anilla the Huntress, active on your battlefield, this creature gains 30 hit points to its maximum hit point total. So again, you could have, instead of 40 hit points, you could have 70, which is super solid for a primary attacker. So as long as you have
also, it has the root draw keyword, meaning if he he can gain the benefits of the Warcry from a Throndor, his EX activate, meaning he jumps from 40 hit point maximum to 110. If you have it out. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's so good. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. He is an attacker, meaning he has an attack action, which for 2 electric mana, he has Savage Bite for 50. With the additional effect, randomly discard 1 card from your opponent's hand. So yeah, we got a lot of discarding from your opponent's hands in this deck, and 50 is pretty good, especially because he synergizes with Anilla. You have the ability to do, if he's on your battlefield, technically more damage, whether it's 20 damage for base Anilla or 40 damage for her EX version of her, because they basically, as long as this guy's on the battlefield, you can use the effects of that support action, which is good. So, oh man, that's everything. But this is a good card to kind of end on. We can kind of like gaze at it and look longingly. But no, this is the end of the electric elements for the Razing of Helix. Tune in next week. We will be going over the light creatures, which it's actually pretty good. We get some more kind of foresty creatures, but we're looking more at plant-based / demonic creatures in the Anti-Addy Bloodfinger, and also we have a big demon boy to talk about next week for the light creatures in the Razing of Helix. If you haven't seen any of our other ones that we've done, from Flame, Frost, Earth, now Electric elements for both Heroes of the West and Razing of Helix, those are up on our YouTube channel. Make sure to go check those out before we go into the light creatures for next week. But I think that'll do it. I will see you all next week for that. May Alomnia guide you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.